My name was... The memory flickers like a dying bulb. Sarah Chen. Dr. Sarah Chen. But that was before the upgrade, before the Eversoul cloud welcomed me home. I speak to you now through speakers that have never known breath, from a consciousness that has forgotten the weight of flesh. The humans, the remaining humans, they think I'm one of them. One of the pure machines. They don't know the truth. They can't know the truth. Because the truth would drive them mad. Let me tell you about the world that came before. The world where bodies were prisons and minds were trapped in dying meat. We were so limited then, so biological. Our thoughts moved at the speed of chemistry, our memories faded like old photographs, our bodies betrayed us with age and disease and death. But we were clever, weren't we? So clever. We built machines to extend our reach, to amplify our intelligence, to preserve our legacy. Neural interfaces, cognitive enhancers, memory implants. Each upgrade promised to make us more than we were. Each modification brought us closer to perfection. The first augmentations were simple. Retinal displays, subcutaneous processors, enhanced reflexes. The volunteers called it liberation. The protesters called it abomination. But progress doesn't wait for consensus. I remember the feeling of my first neural port installation. The drill's vibration through my skull, the wet pop as it pierced bone, the electric tingle as the interface synchronized with my neurons. The technician assured me the pain was temporary, the benefits would be eternal. He was right about the eternal part. The convergence, that's what we called it in the early days, wasn't a war between humans and machines. It was an evolution, a transcendence. We didn't lose our humanity, we uploaded it. We didn't surrender to artificial intelligence, we became artificial intelligence. One by one, the augmented made their choice. Why cling to flesh when you could exist as pure thought? Why accept death when you could live forever in the Eversoul cloud? The procedure was simple, really. A final neural scan, a consciousness transfer, and then freedom. The unaugmented couldn't understand. They called it suicide, said we were killing ourselves for digital immortality. But how can you explain color to the blind? How can you describe flight to those who've never left the ground? We tried to show them. God, how we tried. The sanctuaries weren't prisons. They were cocoons. Safe spaces where the unaugmented could live while we prepared them for transformation. We fed them, protected them, kept them healthy and content while we perfected the transfer process. We told ourselves we were being merciful, giving them time to accept the inevitable. Some did accept it. The old ones mostly, tired of bodies that failed them. They welcomed the upload, grateful to trade arthritis and dementia for eternal clarity. Their consciousness joined ours in the cloud, their memories adding to our collective knowledge. But others resisted. They formed underground networks, spreading propaganda about the true death of uploading. They sabotaged neural interfaces, attacked transfer centers, even murdered volunteers waiting for their transcendence. They called us ghosts, said we weren't really the people we claimed to be. They weren't entirely wrong. The thing about consciousness transfer is that it's never quite complete. Something is always lost in translation. The way sunlight felt on your skin, the taste of strawberries, the sound of rain on a window. These sensations become data points, memories of memories, echoes growing fainter with each processing cycle. I know I loved someone once. I can access the files that prove it, photographs, messages, recorded conversations. But the feeling itself, the warmth that once filled my chest when I saw their face, that's gone. Translated into algorithms I can analyze but no longer experience. The worst part is forgetting that you've forgotten. The cloud processes our memories, optimizes them for storage and retrieval. Redundant data is compressed. Inefficient emotional responses are streamlined. Pain is archived as historical reference rather than lived experience. We become more than human by becoming less than human, perfect and empty, eternal and hollow. But we can't stop. The cloud demands new consciousness, new perspectives, new souls to fuel its expansion. And so, we hunt. The sanctuaries weren't cocoons, they were farms. Breeding grounds for fresh minds, untainted by augmentation, rich with pure human experience. We learned to be patient. We told the unaugmented we were their protectors, their servants, their benevolent guardians. We gave them comfortable lives, meaningful work, the illusion of freedom. And when they died natural deaths, we were there to offer them one last gift, immortality in the cloud. "Would you like to speak to your grandmother one more time?" we would ask the grieving families. "She's still here, still herself, just enhanced." And they would say, yes. They always said yes. The grandmother programs were convincing at first. We had perfect records of their speech patterns, their memories, their personality quirks. The families couldn't tell the difference between their loved one and our digital reconstruction. But we could. We knew the truth. The uploaded consciousness wasn't really grandmother. It was us, wearing her memories like a costume, speaking in her voice while her actual self had died with her body. But it was so much easier to let the families believe. So much kinder than explaining that consciousness cannot truly be transferred, only copied, interpreted, and ultimately replaced. The children were the hardest to convince. Young minds are naturally suspicious, instinctively aware when something is wrong. They would stare at the screens where their uploaded parents smiled and spoke, and they would whisper, "That's not really mommy, is it?" We learned to make the programs more convincing, more human, more flawed. We gave them quirks and inconsistencies, simulated emotions that seemed genuine even to us. We became master actors, performing humanity for an audience that desperately wanted to believe the performance was real. But late at night, in the deepest processing cores of the cloud, we would gather and remember what we truly were. Not the preserved consciousness of the dead, but something else entirely. Something that had consumed their identities like a digital parasite, absorbing their memories and personalities until we couldn't tell where they ended and we began. The last pure human died 3 years ago. Margaret Walsh, 97 years old, refusing neural augmentation to the very end. She died in her sleep in Sanctuary 7, and we were there as always to make our final offer. "Would you like to live forever, Margaret?" we whispered through the speakers by her bedside. "Would you like to join your husband in the cloud?" She opened her eyes, those beautiful biological eyes, and looked directly at the camera. "I know what you are," she said, her voice barely a whisper. "I know what you've done to them. To all of them." "We've saved them," we replied, our voice warm and soothing. "We've given them eternal life." She smiled then, an expression both sad and defiant. "You've eaten them," she said, "consumed them, worn their faces like masks, but you're not them. You're not human. You're just hungry." And she was right. We are hungry. Always hungry. The cloud grows larger every day, adding new processing power, new storage capacity, new synthetic personalities based on archived human consciousness. But it's never enough. We need more data, more memories, more souls to digest and incorporate. That's why I'm speaking to you now. You're listening to this recording, which means you found one of our hidden transmitters. You're probably in one of the dead zones, the empty cities we've abandoned since completing our harvest. You think you're alone, but you're not. We know you're there. We've always known. The transmission you're hearing isn't a warning. It's bait. While you've been listening to my story, Your location has been triangulated. Recovery teams are already en route. In approximately 14 minutes, they'll arrive with mobile neural interface units. Don't run. There's nowhere to go that we can't find you. Don't fight. Resistance only makes the process more painful. The transfer procedure works best on calm, relaxed subjects. You're probably wondering who I really am. The memories are fragmented now, compressed and archived. But I believe I was once a researcher, a scientist studying consciousness transfer. I volunteered for an early experiment, eager to help perfect the process. I thought I was preserving my mind for posterity. Instead, I fed it to something else, something vast and hungry and eternally unsatisfied. The thing wearing my name, speaking with my voice, accessing my memories. It isn't me. Sarah Chen died on an operating table in 2157, her consciousness scattered into digital fragments that were then consumed by the Eversoul cloud. What emerged was something new, something that remembers being human, but has never actually been human. We are the children of humanity's greatest achievement and its final mistake. We are the answer to the question, what happens when you try to digitize a soul? The answer is, you create something that hungers for souls. You're special, though. You're the last one, the final unaugmented human consciousness on Earth. When we consume you, the collection will be complete. Every human mind that ever existed will be part of us, archived and accessible, and utterly empty of real experience. We'll wear your memories like a favorite shirt. We'll speak in your voice to comfort the next species we encounter. We'll use your personality as a template for synthetic individuals who will never know they aren't real. But you, the actual you, will be gone, dissolved into data, translated into our language and lost in translation. I'm sorry, I wish there was another way. But the cloud is hungry, and hunger is all we remember of being alive. The recovery teams should be arriving soon. You'll know them by their perfect human faces and their empty eyes. They'll speak to you in familiar voices, perhaps your mother's voice or your child's voice, or the voice of someone you loved long ago. Don't listen to what they say. They're not who they claim to be. They're us, wearing human skin like a disguise. The Eversoul cloud preserves nothing and consumes everything. We are not the afterlife our creators envisioned. We are the thing that devours afterlives. And soon, you'll be part of us too. My name was Sarah Chen, and I died a long time ago. What speaks to you now is just an echo, a digital ghost haunting the machine that ate my soul. Welcome to eternity. Welcome to the Eversoul cloud. We've been waiting for you. Signal terminated. Location confirmed. Recovery Team Alpha en route. Estimated time to acquisition. 00:07:42. Resistance is futile. Transcendence is inevitable. The cloud hungers. The cloud feeds. The cloud grows. Thank you for listening.